Released in 1982, Centipede for the Atari 2600 brings the arcade classic to home consoles, and while it doesn't quite capture the full essence of the arcade experience, it still stands as a fun, fast-paced shooter that can entertain for hours. At its core, Centipede for the Atari 2600 offers a simple yet challenging shooter experience, making it an enjoyable and addicting game. The primary goal is to destroy a constantly moving centipede as it travels down the screen, while also dealing with a variety of other enemies that add to the chaos. When you start the game, you control a small shooter at the bottom of the screen, which can only move left and right. The key mechanic here is that the shooter automatically fires upwards. Your task is to use the limited space on the screen and your quick reflexes to destroy the centipede and its accompanying enemies. The centipede itself is the central threat. It starts at the top of the screen and moves down in a segmented pattern, zigzagging as it descends toward you. Each time you hit the centipede, it breaks into smaller pieces, which continue to move down the screen. This adds a layer of strategy to the gameplay. If you don't destroy the segments in time, they'll eventually overwhelm your shooter. The challenge comes from how the centipede's movement pattern shifts and splits, making it increasingly difficult to avoid the segments and to line up shots. While Centipede doesn't have the traditional power-ups seen in modern games, there is a strategic component in the form of your shooting capabilities. You can't fire quickly or constantly. The shooter has a delay between each shot. This limitation adds an element of careful planning to your shots, as you need to be precise in your aim and timing to clear paths or destroy enemies. Additionally, the more shots you fire in quick succession, the higher the risk of missing a critical shot, especially when the enemies are approaching quickly. The split centipede segments can become particularly difficult to handle if they multiply too rapidly, forcing you to choose between clearing them one at a time or trying to clear the entire screen. Given the limitations of the Atari 2600 hardware, Centipede does a decent job translating the colourful, pixelated arcade visuals into a home console format. The screen is filled with basic but recognisable pixel art, and the centipede itself looks pretty good, especially considering the system's limitations. The enemies and obstacles are distinguishable enough, with vibrant colours adding a touch of personality to the design. As for sound, Centipede features simple beeps and sound effects, which, while not complex, effectively enhance the experience. The sound of shooting and enemies moving creates a tense atmosphere, though it might become repetitive over time. One of the strengths of Centipede is its replay value. The game's difficulty increases as you progress, keeping you on your toes. The random nature of enemy movement and placement ensures that no two playthroughs are exactly alike. It's a game you can return to again and again, always striving to beat your high score. However, if you're looking for a deep narrative or complex mechanics, Centipede may feel a bit shallow. While Centipede for the Atari 2600 is undoubtedly a product of its time, it's still a fun and engaging experience for fans of classic arcade games. It may not have the visual flair of its arcade counterpart, but the tight gameplay and escalating challenge make it a solid title in the Atari library. If you're in the mood for a fast-paced, action-packed shooter with a nostalgic vibe, Centipede remains a worthwhile choice.